Hey guys, we're here. We're in command, getting ready to go back over to the sister's house to meet with Mr. Tom Monaco, a dowsing rod legend here, in the Guinness Book of World Records, and all kinds of awesome stuff. Got great stories to tell us and tips and tricks, other stuff like that. So we're gonna try and live stream that for you here in just a few minutes. So we're just trying to get things ready here. Wanty and I are gonna head over to the house here in just a minute, and then yeah, it should be starting here shortly. So just make sure you hang out as I try and figure out how to get this thing to start actually streaming on my phone, because this thing keeps popping up, but I can't actually get it to.
So is it in that box if you click it, and then click again? Your option to go.
Oh, there it goes. Just was popping up.
So then bottom left.
Oh my gosh. Arr! There we go. Cool underneath this though, so we don't get the. Oh shite.
The reverb. Reverb.
There we go. Now we're muted for a minute. Cool. All right. And I'm going to switch this over to the other cam here, guys. So that way you can... we're going to be doing... bloop. All right. And go ahead and you can fix that side of it. We'll make sure we're good.
Is there any sound over here, though?
I'm muted on mine right now. On my side.
Okay.
Here. We'll give her a... There we go. Do we get a sound? Let me go out there.
Testing. You weren't. Oh, you know it's not, you gotta pull off the lavalier. There we go.
There we go. We got sound. Yes.
All right, we're gonna venture back to the sister's house.
Is it full screen on there, or is it just?
Nope, it's full screen. Well, let me turn off this room. Command cam. Okay, so command cam's gone. It's full screen, and then you have the whoever's presenting is on the big screen.
Let's go ahead. All right, y'all. Cool. You guys get to hear the smack of my flippy floppies. A flippy floppy day. If you have any questions for Mr. Monaco or for really anybody, I'm going to try and keep up with it the best that I can, but I think mine's going to be just primarily a camera. So once we have the camera set up, I won't be able to see Chad at all. But we'll try and get someone hooked up so that way you guys can hopefully ask questions as you have them come up. So here we go. Going out the door. I locked the door. Say, look, here we go. It's locked. So it wasn't us. We locked the door. Looking there. There's the Abbey. For those of you who are familiar, Mr. Wanty here, Wanty's World, he's also going to be coaching, as you can see. So there's going to be different angles, different things there as well, but the audio should be pretty much the same. So. Who? What's that? They said they were going to go there. Yeah. And we are live. Say hi, Gramps. What's your Q's and P's?
Hey everybody, how are you? 11th annual man here at the Holy Cross Abbey. Beautiful city, Colorado. Wonderful day today. All my buddies are here. We're going to go in and speak with a legend, Mr. Tom Monaco. World renowned. He's been in the Guinness records and the Ripley's Believer. Renowned dowser, but not just any dowser. Tell you which way, how deep they're buried, male, female, if it's a child or an adult. Amazing stuff buried all over the place that were unknown prior to him dousing there. Before they've dug up, he's actually told them what they were going to find and how deep they were going to find it, the body, so that they could zoom in and actually put it in a proper burial. He's an amazing guy. He's getting up in the years, and we're both kind of chugging around trying to suck our next breath down between him and me. So neither one of us got a lot of years left, so it's a great opportunity because you're about to see a legend that has a lot of great stories, a ton of information, and he's going to share some of the stories.
Let's go outside.
Let's do it.
Dennis, I'm gonna mic you up, but
Oh, that's your level.
that's one of them. And then you're gonna put yours on after.
Yeah,
And then
okay.
the one that's on me is gonna go on Tom, and then the other one that
Okay, that goes into his phone if you're gonna run audio. Otherwise, if he's running audio,
He's running audio on his.
then you won't need mine, right?
No, he's running his on his stream, and then I'll be running. So you'll have two lavaliers, and he'll have two lavaliers.
Is this one on?
that one's on and running. So yours, and then Tom's gonna get one of mine, the one that's on me currently,
Okay,
and then your
I'll
other
give
one. Yep. And so he'll have two mics, and they'll be directly into the streams, full streams.
Yep.
him.
So, and I'm not plugged in yet, but as soon as you guys get hooked up, because I need to have this
You're
up.
plugged in mine.
There you go. Mine is trying to pair.
Okay. Plug in.
You hear heavy breathing? Because I just saw Michelle standing at the top of the stairs here.
Yep. After you.
Well,
Welcome. So we're heading inside the safety belt right now. Hello, friends.
Welcome,
We are
gentlemen.
live. Hello, everybody.
We're live. We're live.
We are live. Hi. Sister's house.
We're alive. Where'd Mr. Monaco go?
He was just here.
He may have had to go to.
We're gonna set up this one. I can set up over here. You're gonna get to be here. So
Yeah, I took my tripod
might be
and
good for that.
put it away, but this is my monopod. Maybe stick it behind the.
Wherever you want it.
Oh, that's a long tripod.
It's a
Well, no, monopod. Yep. We're going to the cemetery. Yeah. Sounds later in here. So here, what sheep? We're gonna be a while. Crazy.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Cloud God, Jason. Is it? You get it? Yeah, just clip it onto your shirt there.
Wonderful Cindy here.
Hey, hello, how are you? So where will I
So
start?
you're gonna read about Tom Monaco here.
Alright, so Cemetery Dowser.
That's gonna be
As Tom Monaco walks around the grave in small, slow steps, the thin copper rods in his hands that were parallel suddenly form a cross. He stops. That indicates where the earth was disturbed and the magnetic field broken. So that's the grave, he says. He moves forward. The rods go parallel. Here's the body. He lowers his left hand, and the rod in his right swings clockwise and points to the right. It's a man. He raises both rods and moves closer to the headstone. Both rods swing inwards towards his chest. There's the head. Monaco moves towards another grave. This one is covered with a layer of cement and has a Union soldier's marker. The copper rods do the same thing at the first man's grave, except the rods never move toward Monaco.
There you
Well,
are.
look at that, Monaco says.
She's
No
reading the
head.
story right
I
now.
haven't seen that
Come in.
before.
Then we're gonna mic you up.
It's a warm August morning. We're standing at Alfred Packer's final resting place in Littleton Cemetery, south of Denver. We know that Colorado's most famous cannibal is buried here. What we're trying to find out is what is admittedly a highly unscientific, unofficial experiment is whether his corpse is intact. Ripley's, believe it or not, is claimed to have Packer's preserved noggin on display at his facility in San Antonio, Texas. Monaco says copper dowsing rods have always behaved in the same way when he held near an intact corpse. This has a definite anomaly. It's enough to convince Monaco that desecration, I say that right, to Packer's body was indeed done. Off with the head. That's not right, he says, with a head shake. He's a member of Sons of Confederate Veterans and has a keen sense of what's fitting. Monaco is also on the Volunteer Cemetery Committee at Greenwood Pioneer Cemetery in Kansas City, the older of two operating city cemeteries. The first recorded burial was in 1865. Today, only descendants of those entered into this hillside acreage could be buried there. As far as Monaco knows, that does not include Monaco or his wife, Melody, both originally from Texas. Nonetheless, Greenwood says it's his home. It's where he learned from a veteran dowser how to find graves and where he would honor his sensitivity to the presence of restless spirits. I feel like I know these people buried here, he says, sometimes called doodlebugging or water witching. Dowsing has always been used to look for oil, minerals, buried treasure, and even golf balls. I don't know why it works, Monaco says. I don't know why I'm able to do this. I'm not a psychic, but I think I've been sensitive to spirits all my life. It's gotten stronger over the years, the more I've done it. Maybe it's a gift, but plenty of people can do it with practice. Erratic results, he said, led him to look up the records of those buried. If the death was violent, the psychic renaissance of that trauma seemed to make an impression on the dowsing rods. The rods acted differently, depending on the gender and age of the dead. When the cemetery volunteers performed a systematic inventory of the graves, Monaco was able to help in the identification of unmarked burials. His most gratifying find, he says, was the unmarked grave of two little girls who died in a house fire on the American Indian Reservation in New Mexico in 1930. Because the sisters were not Native Americans, they could not be buried locally, so the remains were shipped to the Colorado, where at the time their grandfather, Claude Rogers, was mayor of South Camden, now part of Kansas City. The burial of 15-month-old Claudine and 2-year-old Beulah Blanche Polhemus could only be guessed for years as somewhere near the family plot in Greenwood. The three sisters who were born after the deaths contacted Kansas City's History Center for help in tracking down their kin. Monaco doused for the, am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, Tom Monaco.
Polhemus girls?
Polhemus?
Polhemus, Polhemus. His rods did spin over the child's grave. The faster they spin, the younger the child, he says. The rods picked up the presence of 2 very young female children buried near their kin. A little investigation revealed that metal boxes the 2 badly little burned bodies were buried in. Greenwood has several unmarked mass graves. 2 where victims in the 1918 influenza pandemic lie. One large pot has a mystery attached to the cement object in its center. Looks like an old school bell, doesn't it? Says Monaco. I've never seen a grave marker like that. The engraving is hard to read, but the name Fanny Clark can be made out. There's a woman buried there, and there's about 10 kids buried with her. All girls on one side of her and all boys on the other. Well, we think Fanny was a school teacher, and something happened that killed her and the children together. Fire, avalanche, we don't know. Woodpecker Hill, that's the cemetery. As we walk over to the hard-packed rocky soil, it's not hard to imagine Greenwood Cemetery as it looked in its earlier days, because little has changed. The view is magnificent. Mountains loom over Canyon City and the valley below us. The old Colorado Territorial Prison and the Prison Museum railroad attractions is the most prominent human-made feature in the landscape. It's an acceptable reminder of a significant portion of Greenwood's population. Woodpecker Hill is the informal name of the section of deceased convicts from the prison. Approximately 600 prisoners were buried here from 1872 to 1971. But only 350 of their graves are marked. Many of the unmarked graves lie just outside of Greenwood's fences on private land. The other graves originally had cheap wooden slabs that hardboard insects highly attracted to woodpeckers, hence the moniker for this section. Eventually, the wood markers were replaced with small metal plaques and stakes that have rusted to a flaky brown. The vast majority of dead inmates, families couldn't afford better grave markers or perhaps wash their hands of their incarcerated relatives. Today, unclaimed dead convicts are cremated. Monaco points to one marker. We think this is James Armstrong, the guy that has always boasted that once he was dead, he'd finally be free of the prison. He was a real pain to everybody, and when he finally did die, he was buried with a cell door on top of him. One mass grave is part of this section in 1929. 5 prisoners who escaped attempt was set off a 3-day riot that killed 8 guards and destroyed several buildings.
Cindy, let's go ahead and digress from there, and then we'll just have Tom take over and start telling the stories about Woodpecker Hill.
Okay.
But that gives you a pretty good idea of his
It is pretty much the end of it anyway.
And by the way, this is Cindy Martin. You've seen her in quite a few of my adventure videos.
Oh, yeah.
We've traveled all over the United States doing
Cool stuff.
together. So you were going to point out one more thing or something?
It was just going into Joe Artie's.
Oh, yeah. We'll get into that. Yeah. So, Tom, we're going to have
Joe
you
Artie.
speak. Hey, Jenny. Good. So, Tom, we need to mic you up. Find a place to sit down. Yeah.
You find it.
It is if you get over there for somebody else.
Is this seat
Oh,
vacant?
okay.
Just kidding.
My seat. No, it's actually vacant right now. So this is the legend himself, Mr. Tom Monaco. He and I go way back. We've done some things together that we probably shouldn't share, but
Right, yeah.
you guys, it's an honor to have him here. You guys got to appreciate. During COVID, when I was traveling all over the country, I got back after 4 years of being on the road tripping, and first thing I asked was when I got here to the monastery, where's Tom? I need to connect with him so that we could start joining some of our investigations with Tom down at the cemetery. And they said, I heard he didn't make it through COVID. He passed away. So I was quite shocked about 2 months ago. I'm going through Walmart and I see this guy's back. And I'm thinking, wow. So I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, Tom, he says, Dennis, I said, I heard they buried you. He says, I heard they buried you. So we were both happy to find out each other was still alive.
They were still here.
Yeah. So, anyways, Tom, go ahead and take it away and tell us your stories, how you do it, your techniques, and
Okay.
then we're gonna pick your brain.
Oh, Lord.
So you're mic'd up. You guys can hear them all.
Can you hear me?
Okay. All right. You should be good. I'll get
Okay.
out your way.
Um,
I'll get over it.
that was, I hadn't read that since she gave me a book and signed it and all that. And then I went and bought one that I carry with me. And I haven't read it in years, but yeah, it brought back a lot of memories.
I expect you to autograph this one too.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, as I said in the book, I didn't know if I was psychic, if I was this or I was that. What happened was I died when I was 5 years old. I had appendicitis. And they, did all their stuff. And I was in the hospital for like 3 weeks. And they got me home. And when we got home, my dad went to the pharmacy and my mom was in the kitchen. And I saw a little dog standing in the corner of the living room. And I said, when did y'all get the dog? And they said, there's no dog. And I said, no, there's a little dog. And so my dad gets home and I can see him talking in the kitchen. They're probably going, well, they didn't do nothing. They did a lobotomy on the kid. What is wrong with him? So my dad comes over and asks me about the dog. And I said, no, there's a dog sitting right in the corner. And I said, it looks just like Uncle Fran's dog. And Uncle Fran was one of my dad's brothers. Well, what had happened, come to find out, they both got a puppy from one litter. Well, the one my dad got died probably when I was 5 when this all happened. Dog, they think, died probably when I was 2. So I don't remember the dog. But that's what I was seeing was that dog. And then from that point on, I saw everything. And it was tough growing up. It was, I saw things and then I learned to shut my mouth. I didn't see that, because everybody made fun of me. And then I got, I let it go and then I got on the cemetery committee. How the Dousing started was we got permission for a Confederate flagpole to put one in. And so I went out, I got on the internet, see how to do it. So I just got some clothes hangers and I went out because there are bodies all over in that cemetery with no headstones. And I found a place and
Approximately what year was that, Tom?
Oh, God.
I know, digging back.
17, 20.
Yeah.
Let's see, when was all that going on? 96, 97 maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. But when I was doing it, I was coming through those little rods, I was feeling things. So the next day I went back out there just to play around and I was going to markers, so I knew what was there. And then it all turned out and it just became I could identify male, I can identify female, I can identify kids, gender, the whole 9 yards. And I just kept working with it, and working with it, and working with it. And then when I go over a grave where they died of traumatic death, I would get, you know how you do your pictures on a cell phone? I get snippets, just like that. I see little pictures of the people, how they died or whatever. And so that's how it all came about. And now I was on a paranormal team. I don't do that anymore. I'm mainly into cleansings. When people have, I just clear them out. And so I told the story the other day.
Now you're also a priest too, right?
I'm a priest, yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing. Once I was ordained, everything changed. I have a bunch of psychotic friends. I call myself a psychotic medium. But after I was ordained, everybody said my aura changed. It's like I got this gold aura around my head now. So it's like right after I became a priest, I had to go do a cleansing in Florence. So the wife's like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Because, you know, I'm leaving out at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, because it would take forever before all this. I mean, I'd be in there and then I'd have to go back 2 days later. And it was just, I went down there, walked in there, 2 of the spirits came and hugged me. So I crossed them over, and then the one that was a total jerk, I got rid of him in probably 30 minutes. And I come home and the wife goes, oh, it must have been really bad. And I said, no, it was a piece of cake. And so now they know, it's like I go in and they know what I am. And they just, I call it a hug. It's like, you ever had a spirit go through you where you get the total goosebumps and you just lose it? And that's what it is. And I just call it a hug. And ever since then, it's just been, and I was telling them, you know, there are spirits out there that are never going to cross. And if they don't want to cross, I leave them alone. But I have a set of rules for them. And I tell them that if they keep causing trouble, I can smoke your rear end. I can get you out of here. I've got the power of Jesus Christ right behind me, protecting me, and I can push you out of here. And then I was telling them too, sometimes I run across some that are, we got kids, a pain in the butt. So one day I was up at Walgreens picking up a prescription for my wife, and I was walking down this aisle and I saw Preparation H.
This is funny.
And I said, so I got it too. And so now when I go in, and if they're a pain in the butt, I have my little bag, and I don't have all the stuff that I used to have. Basically, I have the Preparation H, I have the holy water, I have a thing of Red Man tobacco, and I have a cross. And if they're a pain, that's what I tell them. I'm not going to bless you with holy water. I'm going to bless you with Preparation H. And so what's that going to tell them on the other side? You're never going to cross. And so it's just a way to, and that's the other thing I found out. These ones that are being a real pain, if you joke with them and play with them, you can ease them in and they become your friend. And then you can get them crossed over. And so I just, like I said, and I've done this for years. And as you do it, you learn more and you learn more and you learn more. People talk, I have a shaman. It's my great grandfather, who's my spirit guide. And he tells me things and he protects me.
Tom, tell us a little bit of how you got started with Greenwood, Woodpecker Hill. Tell us a little bit about Woodpecker Hill. How did it become Woodpecker Hill? And
Woodpecker Hill, yeah. Reason I got started, I went out, they got a new American flagpole. We saw it in the paper and they were going to have this big ceremony. So I went out, see it, and then they were telling the stories about the Confederates. And my great-great-great-grandfather was a Confederate. 2 of them were. And so then they took me over there. And oh my God, it was terrible. I mean, the headstones were all broken and it was the weeds. Well, I'm not kidding you. The weeds were this high.
I remember that.
It was terrible. And the whole cemetery.
And they weren't just weeds, they were like cactus. You couldn't even
it was
walk through.
So I got talking to people and they got this committee going. And so I got in the committee and I just started, I burned up 3 weed eaters. I never charged the city for them. I one lawnmower, which was stupid. I don't know why I even took a lawnmower out there. That didn't last, but I think I did one little swipe and then I hit something and it just, the motor, it hit the shaft and it just broke it and the blade come flying and it was terrible, but we got it cleaned up. It took a long time.
And it looks beautiful now. I mean,
it looks, it's great now. I mean, we've replaced headstones. And the thing of it was, I got with some union guys and we worked together, just like they used to back after the war. That's what the Confederates and Union guys did here. That's how they got the plot, was the Union guys bought it for them, where they could bury their dead.
Now tell them that little story too, the kind of flip side of the Union and
Yeah.
Confederate.
Well, it's weird because instead of the Confederates being on the south side of the cemetery, they're buried on the north side. But
And the Northerns are buried on the south side because they
they're
decided.
more in the middle. But yeah, it's kind of a. But they donated the land. Oh, and then there's a huge monument for the Confederates. So it's like you've seen it, 8 foot tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in honor of the Confederates. And the Union guys were the ones who bought that.
Now they also, they have a pointed obelisk type
Yeah,
headstone. And the reason, in case you guys were ever wondering why you see graves with the points on them, is because they didn't want any damn Yankees taking a break on top of their headstone.
well,
So they made them pointed so they weren't
yeah, the
comfortable
Union,
to sit
the
on.
Union, yeah, if you look at the military headstones, they're all rounded. The Confederates have a point on them, and that's so nobody will sit on them.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we could come up with. So,
Yeah.
I have a point. Well, you're not gonna sit on that. Well, you'll need the preparation X, and I've got that. So. And then, and like I say, there's a tons of convicts out there. Most of them, like, was 600 on, that we
Yeah.
don't know who they are.
And that's in the older section because they got the newer section.
They
up
got
on
the
the hill.
newer section up top. And they've got metal tags like the bottom section, but the bottom section just says DOC in there. Because they don't know who they are or nothing. The top ones have a name and they have a date. And then, there's one up there that has bullet holes in it. Manji is his name. You seen those?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, Manji was the way he murdered. I mean, this was gruesome. So when we think it was a family member came out, was it 6 bullet holes in there?
Yeah, 6 girls in.
I think there's 6 bullet holes. Yeah, Manji.
He was in prison because he murdered his wife. Found him having an incest relationship with one of his daughters, and he had like 6 daughters and 3 sons or something. So he murdered 5 of them.
Yeah, he was a bad butt. He was yeah. And then there's a couple of other interesting ones up there. God, what was that guy's name? Y'all been up there?
Joe Artie?
Iridia?
Yeah, already. Joe.
Joe Artie.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah. Does it say how old he was? 20?
23.
20s, yeah.
Yeah. All right. He was like 20-something years old, but he had the mental capacity of about what I have.
He was 46.
46. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he was probably a 5-year-old is what it was. And supposedly he committed this murder, and I'm 100% sure he didn't do it. And then the governor even became 100% sure, and
They finally got a pardon.
he got a pardon. And but when they put him in the gas chamber, all the way down there, he was just laughing and smiling.
He had no idea what he was
had no
going
idea
to
what was going to happen. It was sad. It was very sad.
No.
And then as soon as they the pardon, wonder I'm not in federal prison. It was Bill Ritter that did it, right? He signed the thing. So I go up on the internet and I found the pardon, but I couldn't find the signature. I couldn't find whether Bill Ritter had signed one. So I said, well, screw it. And so I don't know how to cut and paste on a computer, and I still don't. So how I cut and paste is I copied off his signature off of another thing that was up there, right? And I printed it off and I cut it out and I taped it on there and then I reprinted it. And y'all been up there, you seen that in that case? And a lady that has a frame shop downtown, she was the one that made that, the frame for it. And then so I got it up there, and when I was doing the tours, I tell everybody, it's not a real signature. I should be in federal prison, I guess.
He forged an official document.
Yeah.
But a caveat to that too, while we're talking about Joe, was he and Roy Best had such a relationship because Roy knew that he got railroaded
He got
for that.
railroaded. There was no doubt about
So
it.
he took him home for Christmas. He was being executed in January.
Yeah.
So Roy Best took him home
Home for Christmas.
under his personal reconnaissance, and he spent Christmas at Roy Best's
Yeah,
house.
Roy Best.
Now, Joe already loved trains, so Roy bought him a
Oh,
Christmas.
that was it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
bought the train for his
Yeah,
Christmas present, and that's up on his headstone right now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, people come up there and, well, you've seen it, the headstone, they got a little train. And he used to play with the trains in his jail cell. He would roll them back and forth and roll them across to somebody else, and then they thump it back to him. So, yeah, and that's a really sad story.
yeah.
Really sad story. That one is.
So you
Yeah.
pretty much cleansed everything in Greenwood there. But I remember shortly after that, we were doing some investigating and we ended up across the street because there wasn't nothing happening at Greenwood, but directly across the street was the old Oddfellow Cemetery. And we had an experience there. You want to share that?
Yeah, I cleansed Greenwood when I first got there. As soon as the sun started going down, I was out of there. Because I could see them. I mean, I'd see them coming down the hill. And I was like, okay, I'm going home. I'm going home. And then one day, I said, okay, I'm taking care of this. So I took my cassette player and I had some really nice music, Celtic music. And I went out there and I walked the whole cemetery playing Celtic music, blessing the cemetery. And I told them, we're here to fix this place. And I said, I don't judge anyone. I don't care if you're a convict. I don't care if you were gay. I don't care what you were, what. I said, everybody's the same in here. And then ever since I did that, it just calmed down. And it was just a few little turds that would come by and cause trouble. Now, the other side, there's, I went over there to figure out what was going on. It goes back 500 years, I think, is what I found. It's a black mass with red eyes that hangs in the woods. We did one investigation out there on the back road. We were coming back and I could see it up there. And I said, oh, here we go, here we go, here we go. You know, like what? And then about 10 seconds later, this huge rock comes flying out of the tree line into the road. And then, okay, we're out of here. So when we did the investigation, me and his cousin, they stayed in Greenwood. And so we went over there and we started down that road. And I said, now this is a really bad spot. So I said, we'll see what happens. And we got down there and we got trapped. There was like a vortex around us. We couldn't get in or out. We were just stuck. And I was praying like hell. And your cousin was, he had to have a diaper change. And finally, I saw this beam of light just zoom. And the vortex just disappeared. So I told his cousin, run, run. I couldn't because I didn't have a right leg. I mean, I have a right leg, but it don't work. So I'm limping my way out of there. And we finally caught up at the gate. I said, you all right? And he said, yeah. He said, what the hell happened? I said, I don't know what happened. It was this and that.
See, I recall actually you were on the ground.
Yeah, I was on the ground.
You had hollered across because Craig and I were across the other side of the cemetery.
Yeah, I was on the
And we came to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on the ground. My right leg completely gave out. I mean, I was just pinned to the ground and it was like, so then we got our act together. We got back over to Greenwood. So me and Dennis take off down this road and he had this, what do they call that thing now?
Oh, that was the original Radio Shack hat, the original Ovilus.
Yeah.
So you buy a Radio Shack radio and they show you on YouTube how to pull out you take it apart and you pull out one particular pin and all of a sudden that radio will start scanning just like an SB7 or something. and it would scan an AM or FM forward or backward. I still got that thing, the original Radio Shack hat, but that's what I was using that night.
I told you it was 1720. And so we're walking, and all of a sudden through the thing it says Tom. Well, that's my name. So I went, oh crap. And Dennis goes, what? It just said Tom. And I said, and we had just met. So, and I said, remember my name's Tom. And he goes, oh yeah, okay. And it was John Aldrich, and he was the old caretaker at the cemetery that I found he'd been buried. That was another one I found. And it was unmarked, and I found his, we got him a headstone through donations. And I went $1 over budget. $1. And when I was explaining it, everybody started pulling $1 bills out of their wallet. And I was going, no, Carol McNew took care of it. She was another one on the committee. She took care of that dollar. But that was John Aldrich that got us out of the vortex.
Before we move on there, as Craig and I got to you and you're relaying the story to everybody of what had just happened, I had been provoking a little bit, not heavy duty and nothing, but I was poking the bear a little bit.
Oh.
And they were telling he was relaying the story of what had just happened. We're all standing there, and I still got the EVP today where you hear him tell me, go away. He was pissed off because I was doing stuff that I shouldn't have.
And that's the one thing when I had, I started on the paranormal team, and then they all kind of left, and I took over, and but that was the one thing I would not allow. I told everybody, no provoking. The minute you provoke, you're out of here. That's all there is to it. Because I, like I said, there's bad spirits out there, but that's not the way to treat them. There's ways to treat them nicely, and you can become their friends, and you can handle that. For instance, I did a cleansing in Florence, and this guy was a total butt. And I mean, a total butt. And he just kept on. And the lady that owned the house, she had a friend with her in the bedroom up there with us. And we just kept on. And I kept joking with the guy. And finally I got him calmed down. And that's the other thing. If they don't want to cross over, I don't cross. I'm not going to fight them. It's like, okay, you want to live in hell? You live in hell. Okay? But I can, and I get him to that point. And finally, he relented, and I crossed him. And that was another one that was witnessed. Well, that's another thing. You see the cross in my palm? Center of my palm. Yeah. That happened after I was ordained priest. Yeah, we got back that night. I was beat to a pulp. And we were sitting there watching TV, me and the wife, and my hands started burning. And I was like, I kept rubbing it. Now she goes, what's wrong? And I said, I don't know what the hell's going on. All of a sudden, the line that was never there, it merged. It was bleeding it never bled, but it was coming up from the bottom. And the guy, the bishop, the next morning I showed him the picture. You know, this, and he took pictures of it. He said, holy crap. And then right to the side, filled a lump to the side of it. Right over here. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the nail hole.
Oh.
That was never there. So when I cross them, I have them come through my body, and I tell them I'm cleansing you so you can get to the light. But I said, then when you get up there, you got to do your part. I said, I can only do so much. And when I cross them, I put my hand up, and I can feel them as they're coming up my body. It's just that cold shiver, all this, and then they exit my hand, and it's unbelievable. I can feel it. And the two girls witnessed it. They saw the light go right through the ceiling. Yeah. And then when I get done, it's all red and inflamed when they exit my hand. So, weird. Very weird.
The photograph of the little boy you got when you,
Yeah.
were you doing a tour there or you were?
No, I wasn't doing a tour. I was doing a special picture of Penny Dobson.
Mr. JK Paranormal just joined the club here. How are you, JK?
Good, good. How is everyone?
How was your drive, buddy? Yeah, yeah. How you been, brother?
You man, jeez. What's that? I made
Sorry,
it.
the screens are.
That's an ad from the third floor. That's right here. That's an ad from the third floor that I got on the floor.
You look too comfortable.
You yeah, these are, yeah. He was in the room.
You've probably seen him in my streams
Kept
many
going
a
into the
time.
closet.
And we'll
If you
give
went
him
in
a
the door,
shout
the
out
closet
here
went to the
and
left.
while we're
And
streaming.
he'd go in the closet and then he'd come out. And then he'd go back in the closet and he'd come out.
JK, Brute's in the house
He'd
too.
go
Hey,
back in the
Brute.
closet. So I said, okay, we're leaving. And, so they all went out the door. And I
Hey, you knew it was my birthday, right?
And I saw him come right back
Yeah.
out. I took the.
Yeah.
It's your birthday.
What did you bring me, man? In case you forgot. In case you forgot my gift, tomorrow's my birthday too, so you still have time to shop.
I gotta find the pie or something. Is that what you like?
Yeah, pies. I got pies, cookies, cakes.
Something like
And
that.
the ghost thing?
Yeah, isn't that is so cool. You're welcome to have a piece if you'd like.
I guess we can just pass it?
Yeah, you can pass it around if you want to. And
Yeah.
now that was the original, and then you had it enhanced.
Yeah, what I did, my neighbor took the picture. And we were having a Memorial Day ceremony, what it was. So we got there really early. And her sister, Penny, who, and these ones that have been cleaned up, you can see her standing next to me. I'm in the Confederate uniform, and then she's standing next to me. So this was the first picture she took, and it's the only one she took. This one picture.
And that little boy wasn't in the cemetery.
Little boy
Wasn't
was
with
not
them.
there. And if you'll notice, you see how he took all the light? He took all the energy. So she showed me the picture and I said, oh crap. So at that time I had programs because I would do stuff and I kept cleaning it up on my programs. So as you see these other pictures, I'll explain what you're seeing. There's a prison door over my face. Okay? Yes. There's a flagpole. That is not there. It's way over there. There's colonel bars on my uniform. I was not a colonel. I was a lone private. If y'all, when you get it, look down, there's a lantern. There's, I can't.
Say the number 666 showed up somewhere.
There's a number 666 up on my shoulder somewhere. Oh no, that's on the brim of my hat. There's two doves flying.
This was an old film camera. It wasn't like you could. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I got the negatives, and I sent them to my friend up in Denver who had a Photoshop, and he went through, and that's what he said. This is the shot. This is what it is. So all of these have been cleaned up because I did my program. So I'll pass them around. And oh, okay. That's the other thing. I'll tell you before we get going. If you'll notice, he's got the one tooth and he's got a bloodied lip. And what happened was when I found this kid, when we were doing inventory, it's an unmarked grave and I got over it and my rods just went, hey. And I said, uh-oh. And, Carol and Ann, they're like, oh, here we go again, So when we got done with it, I went back over the grave. Well, I get snippets. And the snippet I got was a little kid in a bed with a pillow over his head with a huge hand, like Joe Frazier, the boxer, pressing down. That's what I saw. He was suffocated. So then it all came, then I knew who it was. As soon as I saw the picture, the bloodied lip. And if you look at the clothes he's wearing, yeah, these are not 1980s or anything like that. So that's those.
That was, you call it Carol Ann, that was Carol McNew, right?
Yeah, Carol.
You two were instrumental in
Yeah,
refurbishing and
doing the
building
cemetery.
back the Greenwood Cemetery up
She
there,
passed
back to
away.
what we see today.
She passed away on the second round of the COVID. They got so bad in
Yeah.
November here. Yeah.
A couple of years ago,
She got
that's,
the
yeah.
COVID. I'll tell you what, I was in Vietnam. I was there during the POAC. And that was in 75. And I still, when a chopper goes over, I get goosebumps because there was so many choppers in the air. It was unbelievable. I was on the ground, but I mean, I was on boats. And I don't know if y'all ever saw pictures. I was on landing crafts where the landing crafts, they were completely filled with people. And they were hanging off the side. And they were on the tires that we used for, you know, the protectors. They were everywhere. They were in the wheelhouse. I was in the engine room. I locked myself in the engine room. And, but it was one chopper after another. During that second COVID outbreak, right before Thanksgiving, I lived right there at 14th and College. Hospital is just 6 blocks away. I'm sitting there and the wife comes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." It was all the choppers. It was one chopper after another, one chopper after another. I had PTSD over the choppers. It was just bringing back all the memories of, you know.
$20,000, $30,000, $40,000.
Yeah, oh, I was going to say. And my neighbor who was behind me, he was a total wreck. He got choppered out of here 7 times, okay? And when he died, I asked his wife, I said, "Are you going to get his chopper miles?" Yep.
Carol, before she passed away, I've got one, I sat down and I interviewed her for about an hour and a half.
Did you?
So sometime I may share that with you guys, because she was an amazing woman too. She was the basically the Fremont County historian here.
Yeah. Oh, Sue Cochran. That was the last name.
Conroe.
Sue and Steve Cochran hit me last night.
Oh, okay, I was thinking it was Sue Fox, but
Sue Cochran.
Yeah, okay.
That was the lady from the History Center.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, me and her, because I come in, she goes, "What now? What now?" Because every time I'd find something out in the cemetery, I'd be in there going through I'd have, what they do is they give you a file and it's basically the last name. And then you have to go through all the paperwork because it's like, you know, like if you're talking about A, it starts with Adams and goes down all the way. And then you finally find it and you get all the info.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, the 2 gay guys. This is a good one. Supposedly, well, there was a woman inmate who passed away, natural causes, and supposedly she was buried up on the top part, up there where Joe is. So I said, okay, well, this ain't that bad. I can just, so I got my rods, and I started down the first row, and I come back, and I started down the second row, I come back, start down the third row, and I get down to about 10 or 13 with metal stakes. And I hit this one, you know, and they're all coming up male. Okay, my sticks are all going to the right. It's a male, it's a male, it's a male. So I hit this one, and my sticks are going, and they're going, and they keep going. They're doing really weird stuff, you know, so I'm stepping back, and I'm going, what the hell's going on here? And so I step back, and I was like, holy crap, this is weird. And then I'm going, oh my God, this is a gay guy, because I'm getting female and male. I've never had this, but that's the only thing I could come up with. So I go to the next grave and it does the same damn thing. So what the hell? So I went to the next grave, male, all the whole way. So I go down to the history center, I get Sue, I said, what the hell's going on with this? So and she goes, oh my gosh, I know exactly what that is. So she goes in, she comes back, And she said there was two gay guys caught in the shower, not doing what they were supposed to be doing, and they both got what do they call it when they get
Shift or something.
Yeah, they both got it. So they took them up there and they buried them right next to each other. So that's the two gay guys that were murdered. So I can find gay guys. So
Fuck you.
I'm thinking,
There's another interesting grave down there with a cast iron bed frame.
oh, yeah. Yeah, okay, there's a lot of, I think there's 7 left of the bed frames. You've seen them out there, right? Yeah. What that was, going through on the internet, trying to figure out why in the hell have a bed frame. Part of the reason they had bed frames was it would keep out the bad spirits from, getting into the whatever. Yeah. Oh, and then we have the Chinese guy. Where's he at?
On the picture that's going around, you said that kid wasn't there, that girl wasn't there?
Oh, no, he was not there. I mean, that,
Well,
Woodman of the world.
yeah, he was there, but he wasn't there.
right.
He was,
Tom.
well, where's the Chinese guy?
Engine.
Oh, yeah, there's the Chinese guy.
Oh, good.
There she is. Yeah.
Sure, here if you're going.
Yeah, well, that's the Chinese guy. He's buried out in the cemetery. He's out in the pauper section. And he's got a headstone. It's all written in Chinese. And as a matter of fact, I was on it, doing a tour. I used to do tours every Friday and Saturday nights through the prison museum. And on the tour one night, there was these girls, and they were Chinese exchange students. So after the thing, I was talking to them, and they came over, and they were like, "Oh, we can't beat that." And I said, "Okay." So they took all these pictures, and they were going to send them back and, see what came back. Well, they got back to me, and they said nobody can read it. It's in a dialect that nobody can read. So we have no idea of what is there. And the interesting thing about him too, and I didn't know this until I was doing a cleansing for a lady out in North Canyon, right before, when you go up, there's a shelf road. Okay, her property was on the left. So I was out there doing this, and so we went out to her, she bought property. So we went out to her front, and I started with my dowsing rods, and I kept getting drawn to the left, to the left, to the left. So I kept going and going. Well, there was a little cemetery, about 25 people. But the weird part of it was, okay, when I do a body, I can take my rods and put them over the very center like this, and they're facing this way. And I go this way, and they stay the same. And then I go this way, and as soon as I get to the head of the grave, they come out. That's how I know there's a head. So any cemetery you go to, people are buried with their heads to the west, feet to the east. And that's for the second coming. And so they can sit up, see the second coming out of the east. Well, so I'm doing this out there, and I'm finding all these graves, but they're all facing the wrong way. Every damn one of them was facing the wrong way. Their heads were all at the east. So I went back up on the internet. Well, it turns out that's how Japan, Chinese, that's how they do it. They believe that the head goes to the east. So then I went out to the cemetery, and where the Chinese guy is, and sure enough, that's how they buried him. It turned out his head was to the east. And it was so cool there for a while. And I met the guy in Walmart. I don't know how this happened, but I'm out there, and he recognized me. I said, I never met the guy.
You're so handsome. How could we miss you?
And he goes, "You're a cemetery guy, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he was Oriental. And then he goes, he says, "Yeah," he says, "You're out there all the time, right?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, there's a little plate of food over at the Chinese, grave." I said, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "I did that." You know how they have that ceremony for them, the New Year thing? And there was a plate of food, and I saw it. He put it out on a Friday. I saw it on Saturday night or Friday night because I had the tour. We walked over there, and I said, "Oh, crap. There was a little thing of sake." And And there was the noodles, there was this and that, and it just stayed there forever. It did. And turns out we had a lot of stuff in the, you see all the holes. We have, oh God, we have so many, nobody ate anything. They don't like Chinese food. That sat there, and what it did, it just dried up. All the noodles, all of the rice, everything. None of the animals ate it. I drank the sake. So, but it was weird. It was weird. And there was a cup. Yeah, that was what the sake was in. And it was, I don't know if it's still, I haven't been out to that cemetery ever since COVID. And I got off, and then I got on oxygen. And it's like, and like I said in that book, they're my family. And I kind of feel like, I don't know, I feel weird about going up there. I don't know what to, I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of friends. We did a lot of good out there, though. And there was, I guess when I got on the committee, I wanted to do two things. I wanted to get the damn place cleaned up. And then after I got on it for a while, we found out that we had a person that was in the War of 1812 buried out in that cemetery. So I finally found his grave, and I was up on all these genealogy sites, and I had all this paperwork. I got some from Sue, and I sent them off to Washington, and it wasn't enough to get them a headstone. Wasn't enough. So then I got on the Mormon site, and I found this one paper, and I said, I don't have that one. So I printed that one off. So I called the lady in Washington, and I said, I'm going to email this to you, because she knew me. And I emailed it to her, and then she goes, hold on just a second. She got on the computer. She goes, you got it. Oh, I got goosebumps. No, she says, you did it. You got it. You got it. And they shipped the headstone down, to the city, and we got it put in right before the ceremony. Right before the ceremony. They didn't even set it in cement. They just, because we were having a Memorial Day. And so I called the family, the relative, the daughter, great-great-great-granddaughter, up in Denver, and her and her husband came down, and their dog came down for the ceremony when we dedicated. But there's a guy from the War of 1812. Yep, and his brother, they were in battle, and his brother was standing right next to him when they were going forward, and a cannonball took his brother's head off right then. Yeah. Oh, and this was really weird. Right after the ceremony, right, we're all lined up. That was the last thing we did. We did the Union, then we do Confederate, then we walked over. Milby Smith, that's his name. So we walk over there, and we're doing this whole ceremony. We did the 21 gun salute. I got an 1812 flag, and we flew it on the American flagpole. Then we took it down, and then we folded it all up real nice, and we presented that to the granddaughter. And so we get done, and we're standing there. Dole Brewer, he was there in his Union uniform. I'm in my Confederate, and Rick was there, and one other person. We're standing there, and I'm looking off, and all of a sudden I see these planes. We can hear them, and everybody turns around and looks. And the Warthogs, those really weird-looking planes, there was 7 of them, and they were single file, and they came right across that ridge line. And then they got to us, and they got closer, and they just flew right on by. And then the last one come in and dipped the wing. Yeah, and then took off, and I just started crying. And then all these people, because we were done, and all these people came up, and they go, how the hell did you do that? I said, I had nothing to do with it. They must have just been practicing for a Memorial Day ceremony, and they saw us with all the flags. I don't know where the hell they came from. But then that last plane did that. Oh man, that is, talk about tears. And like I told everybody, that cemetery, thank you, sir. You're a Ford man, though. God. No. Yes, I know. I had a 1978 Ford pickup that was the biggest joke that ever came across the world. That thing was in the shop. Luckily, the shop was 2 miles from my house. It was in the shop. every other day. It was ridiculous. And then finally, I told him, that's it, we're done. That's it. I said, you either get me another vehicle or I'm gonna drive this thing through your shoulder. Because I was a redneck back then. And that guy believed me. He did. And then I bought a used pickup. They gave me a Chevy pickup. And, I told them, no more Fords. I'm done. That's it. No more. Can't do those no more. That's where it is.
Yeah.
Y'all have any questions or?
I wanna, some of the headstones and stuff we have out there, or at pretty much any cemetery, you've seen a lot of them that look like logs and they've got like an axe in them and stuff like that. That was the old, the Woodmans of the world headstone.
Yeah.
Explain how that worked.
Yeah. A lot of them were woodmen. They work with wood, and you've seen them out there if you've been in that cemetery. They're
Pretty elaborate, very artistic.
Yeah, and but a lot of them, they were woodmen. The only reason they were woodmen is because it was an insurance company, and you paid into it, and so when you died, you got a really nice headstone. And
plus, like, didn't families, each family then contribute like $10 or something?
Yeah, you paid so much in, and then every time somebody died, you had paid more or whatever. I can't remember exactly how it all worked out. But that one that's up there, that's where James Stewart's buried in the road. Yeah, because James Stewart, that big one, and then right to the left is where James Stewart.
Tell them the story of James Stewart.
Yeah, James Stewart. This guy weighed like 500 pounds. He died of
He's bigger than me, 5 pound or two.
Yeah. Just a tad. He died of natural causes. So back then, they would take him out there by wagon. So they bring up the wagon, and I'm sure, I know what they did. There was the south entry, and there's the north entry, and then there's the center. They came in the north entry. And they were coming up the road, they made the left, and then the wagon wheel fell. Well, James Stewart fell out of the wagon. And,
Take a drink there, Tom. You can...
Yeah, I'm gonna take a sip of water. So you got 500 pounds, and he's supposed to go up to the top. So they decided to just bury him in the road. So he's in the road. And it's weird because if you go up top, there's a James Stewart tag. But when you go over the grave, when I go over the grave, there's nobody in the grave. Nobody's in that grave. That's because he's down that road. So he's in the road.
So everybody, maybe the older one, you guys, maybe Dr. Quinn Medicine Show. She was the pioneer medicine doctor. We have one there at Woodpecker Hill.
Yeah.
Right behind Governor Peabody's grave down there.
Oh God.
I can't remember her name either.
Oh. Hers was one of the graves that collapsed. Oh God. We had torrential rains here about 10 years ago one time. Oh my God.
Yeah, remember we saw that one when we were at Woodpecker or across the street. That one casket was broke open and the hand hanging out.
You could see the hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then God, that was one of them. And I saw her skull, and I'm sure her wooden coffins, they just deteriorate. So I took a bunch of dirt and I covered her back up, and then the city came out there. We had 17 graves that collapsed. 17 just went right down to nothing. And that happened to me up in Central City. Me and the wife were going through one of the old cemeteries. So we're coming down the hill, and all of a sudden we hear this loud scream. This lady just starts screaming. So we're bouncing down the hill to get down there, and a grave gave out underneath her, and she had fallen in. Yeah. So the wife was trying to pull her out. That's why now in all cemeteries, you have to have the, what do they call that? The metal container.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the vault. You have to have a vault now. And they put the casket in the vault, and that's so the ground doesn't sink, so you don't have all that sinking.
I remember that year, there was like 10 over at the Oddfellow Cemetery, and there was 4 or 5 there in Woodpecker Hill that had collapsed.
Yeah, we had 17.
And I was actually I think it was that night we were investigating on that one, and I walked around it and it collapsed with me. And
That was
all of a
the
sudden
one on
I'm
the
face
top.
down 3 foot under the ground.
That was the one on top.
And
Yeah.
I must have looked like a fat cat
Yeah.
jumped straight the fuck out of that grave because I didn't want to be there.
That was that one up on Woodpecker Hill. Oh, and I'll tell you what else is weird. Right next to Joe Arity, the accomplice in that murder is buried right to the left of him. And the statement that he made was, you can kill me, but you can't, you can kill me, but you can't keep me here or whatever. So we came to that, like, once you bury him, he's gonna find his way out, right? Well, did you notice next to Joe Arity, did you notice the big hole?
Yes.
And they fill it in and it comes right back. It's like that guy trying to get out, I swear. They would fill that in. Yeah, and that's the guy, the one with the hole. Yeah, and they'd fill it up, and the next thing you know, there's another hole. So I don't know what the hell's going on with that guy, but you've seen it, okay.
Another character, Ivy.
Oh, yeah, Edward Ives. Yeah, if you first get into the cemetery, by the shed down there, there's one headstone, Edward Ives. And the reason he has a headstone is he was hung, and they hung him the first time, and the rope snapped. So he hits the ground, choking and gagging, going, I'm a free man, I'm a free man. And the warden says, no, you're not. Get another rope. So they got another rope, and they hung him again. Took him 17 minutes to die. And
because they didn't tie the noose.
They
didn't tie a conventional noose.
They had so many failures there. That's why they went to the gas chamber. I would go through the records with Sue, and you would read them, and it was 15 minutes, 17 minutes, 19 minutes where they would hang. Or it took their head off. That's another pleasant scene, wouldn't it be? You drop a guy and the head comes off and the body, So they got rid of the hanging. The reason he has a headstone is his inmates all felt sorry for him, so they all pitched in and they got him that little headstone. That's why he has a headstone.
Now, you were doing an EVP session or something, and you got...
Oh, yeah, this is interesting. This was back in the 1880s. There was a guy in town.
I remember that. It was a Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday. He was a total jerk. He was in jail all the time. He was ripping people off. He was robbing people. He was this, that. So and every time he'd go to jail, the sheriff would just let him out. He'd be in there and he'd just let the guy out. Well, they basically, a bunch of townspeople just said, we've had it. So they broke into the jail, they knocked the sheriff out, and they drug him out of the jail cell. Well, his boots are on backwards. Okay, they drag him and they go down. You know where the armory is? There used to be the armory.
It's right on the corner, right from the warden's house, caddy corner.
Right there. Okay, there's a telephone pole in that area. So we were investigating the armory. And so we were taking a break, and I said, let's go over to the telephone pole, see if we can catch something. So we got over there, we got an EVP, and it said twice wrapped. Well, like twice wrapped, and I'm going, okay. So the next day I go down and I get with Sue, and I get all the newspaper clippings. And they have a picture of him hanging there after they'd hung him. So I'm reading the article, right? Well, nobody knew how to tie a noose. And so then they couldn't get the rope up over the wire. So they had this little, I think it was 9 years old, it said in the article. 9 years old, they had him shimmy up the pole with the rope to get it over the wires. So he comes back down. So then they finally hanged the guy, right? And so there was the picture of the hanging. So he copied that for me, and I took it to the house and I put it into the computer, and I kept enlarging. Well, sure enough, what they did, you can see it. They wrapped it around his neck and they just tied a little cheap knot in it. It wasn't a hangman. Nobody could tie a hangman to this. That's what it said in the article. So that's what that twice wrapped was. That all came to put two and two together. Oh, and that was the guy, he had a hell of a mustache. I mean, oh my God, his mustache was just like, I mean, mine's nothing.
Clean streaks with them.
They cut his upper lip off. Yeah, and it was hanging in one of the bars in Canyon. They put it up on a thing, yeah, on a wood thing, and they had it hanging, and then nobody knows where it went. Yep.
I was gonna tell you, Cody and Coop, that if you guys are looking for places to investigate locally, you can still contact the armory and get in there. And that would be a fun place. And I don't think they would charge you more than a donation of some
Let me
sort.
warn you, I don't want you in the armory.
Oh, really?
There's a man in the basement. You can go anywhere else, but don't ever go in the basement. Because when
Well, we know where they're going.
when I had my paranormal team, we were upstairs, and the two girls, Dakota and, it was so weird, Dakota and Cheyenne. How weird, right? So they go downstairs with John. So we're upstairs, and all of a sudden we hear this blood curdling scream. So I'm like, y'all go. Well, I didn't have a right leg at that time, right? So I'm limping my way to the stairs, I get down there, and the one girl, she's sitting in the corner, and she got these huge red marks. She was like being strangled. And then the other girl, he had pushed her over. So I dealt with this guy before, but he's one of those that needs preparation H. No doubt, yeah. So this time I was bound to determine. I told him, I said, this is it. I'm getting into your butt one way or the other. And so then the little it started coming through, and I saw him beating up on women. Oh man, I saw all these little, and then I said, I got you now. And it just kept on and on. So then toward the end, I said, that's it. I said, I can get rid of you, but I said, I'm not doing it tonight. I said, I'm gonna smoke your ass out of here is what I'm gonna do. And I told him, I said, when you come down to it, you are a low life in your real life. And I said, you're a low life on the other side. And then right after, that's the first FU I ever got on an EVP. Yeah. First one and the only one that I ever got. Yeah. He's nasty, really nasty. And I never did get rid of him. I never did. He was one of those I got him to calm down, but I couldn't get rid of the guy. So if you happen to get in there, beware. Did y'all know at the Armory, the Rolling Stones played there back in the 60s? Believe it or not, the Rolling Stones. I could not believe that. I heard stories, so I went to the History Center and Sue had the little newspaper article. The Rolling Stones were at the Armory in Canyon City, Colorado. I mean, how backwash can you get from that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like unbelievable.
To prison.
There's a question for
It's
somebody.
right across the street from Canada.
They wanted to know, how did you learn that you could cross spirits over through your body?
To have, all right, this is what's weird. I told you about my spirit guide. I think this is a cross between my spirit guide and Jesus. Okay? It's almost like they tell me what needs to be done and how to do it. Okay? It was like I was, okay, when I first got on the paranormal team, right? We were doing this house. They were selling it, and the guy that bought it wanted to know because there had been 2 suicides in the house. So we're in the house, and I found, and my rods, if somebody dies, like if somebody were to shoot you right now, right? Your imprint will be in that chair forever. I'll go over with rods.
Kind of like your perfume up in the.
It'll tell me that somebody died. So I found where the two guys died, and it all matched up. The one guy on the couch and the other guy in the back bedroom. I found where both bodies had laid. But the house was clear. So after it got done, he asked me if I could bless the house. And I said, well, I'm not a priest, but I slept in a Motel 6 last night. Or whatever that, remember that commercial, whatever it was? I said, but I can do it because I've been, so I had the holy water. So I'm doing my what like that. So one of the paranormal guy comes over to me and he said, I see you do the cross. He said, what the hell's this second thing? And I said, I don't know. This is what they told me to do. And I said, basically, this is the cross. This is Jesus on the cross. And that's how I was told to do it. It was like, this is the cross. This is Jesus on the cross. And it was like, I'm just told how to do it. I don't know how it works. I really don't. I think it's, and I'll tell you another thing. People can say what they want. I use Jesus Christ as my protector. Okay? I mean, I throw that name out. And I do telepathic. Okay? When I do stuff in the houses, I tell the people, you don't see me talking, but I'm talking. I'm talking. And I use that, Jesus Christ. And I told them, I am protected by the blood of Jesus Christ. You cannot do anything to me. I've got the white light from Jesus. And I said, you can, and I've done 3 exorcisms. 3. And people ask me, aren't you scared? I said, no, I'm not scared because I've got Jesus Christ. He's protecting me and they're not going to do a damn thing to me. There's a picture in here here it is. This is through a little nook in a kitchen. And that's the back wall. And you see the microwave? You see on this edge, it's blacked out. There's a guy there. Okay? And one of our guys on the team, I call it repossessed. He got repossessed by this guy. Yeah. And this is one of the guys I did an exorcism on.
His last name wasn't Baggin, was it?
And he was a regular badass, let me tell you. And this is interesting too, because I took this picture, and as soon as I took it, he took off. He went this way. And I said, there you go. He's in the bathroom. He's in the bathroom. So John runs down there, and and we look in the door, and there's this huge white orb sitting on the wall, on the back wall. So I took my thermal. You see the red dot? That's the orb. The orbs have energy. Yeah, that's the orb of that guy.
Not a dorb, but an orb.
And that was my first exorcism. And Jeremy called me, and he had moved away, and he drove down from Ohio for me to do this. So he says, where can we do this? And I said, well, we're not doing it in my house. I said, that's all there is to it. And it had just snowed. It was colder than hell. And so he had this little Toyota something, Corolla, I guess it was. So I said, let's just go over to Veterans Park. So it was on a Saturday, so we drove into Veterans Park. It was colder than hell. And he was driving, and Jeremy was big. He almost your size, Dennis. Big guy. And so
Hey, wait a minute.
we're sitting there. And so I'm trying to get the feed off of him, and then finally I got the guy. And so, and he showed me all these pictures, and he's telling me, I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to do this to you. And he showed me all these, oh man, brutal murders. So all this, I kept telling him, I said, I'm going to smoke your ass. That's all there is to it. You're not going to get to me. I said, I'm going to get you out of Jeremy, and everybody's going home. So we get started, and I've got my air pack on. I'm sitting there. So I take my hand, and I put it on top of Jeremy's head. And I put holy water on him. I've squirted him with holy water, and I'm squirting myself with holy water in the name of the Father and the Son. And we get started. And I'm cussing like a old man. And because this guy's like, and I'm just cussing. Well, Jeremy starts bouncing. All right, he's in the seat and he's bouncing. Next thing you know, my hand's in between his head and the roof. When we got done, my hand was black and blue. He's bouncing up and down, up and down. And then he breaks out in this, oh my God, it looked like he just come out of a swimming pool when we got done. I mean, he was soaking wet. And I just kept on and I kept on and I kept on. And I told him, I said, between me and Jesus, you're out of here. And I just kept on and I was cussing. I told Jesus, please forgive me of my language, but damn it, there's a time and a place. And then the next thing you know, Jeremy just collapses. Poof. And then you could just feel it in the car. It was like it was gone. It was like, oh my God, oh my God. And it was gone. And then I've been in contact with him and he's never been. So that was my first one. But you got to get nasty. You got to get nasty. Yeah, when you watch these shows with the Catholic priest being all nice and no, you can't be all nice. You got to set rules. What can be done and what can't be done. Now, I've learned that, and it's like, and I always apologize. What's cool is when I send them over, as soon as I get done, all the people are like, thank you so much. And I said, no. Thank you, Jesus, for protecting me. And, you know, and then I just told them, I sent you another one. And I always felt, and I've told the wife that maybe that's my calling to send them. Yeah, it's almost like it's a calling, because it's like it's an automatic thing that I can do. I can calm the people down and I can get them to the light. And the ones that don't want to go, the hell with you. You know, you just live in hell. But I use Jesus Christ. That's and like I said, you know, used to my bag. I got 3 bags in my Jeep. Okay, one's a huge one. That's for when it gets really, really bad. I mean, there's an M16 in there, the AR-15, whatever. And then there's the smaller bag, and then there's the really tiny bag. And now I've gone to the tiny bag. I need 3 things: Preparation H, holy water, a thing of tobacco, because there's so much Native American stuff around here all the time. So I'm always given an offering of tobacco, and I carry a cross. I have a little cross. It was my grandfather's that was on his chest in his coffin.
So Tom, you and I go back a little bit, and we've done several investigations together, including here at the Abbey. And you've got some interesting stuff that you captured while we were here at the Abbey.
Yeah, we got the oh, this is it. Y'all know about Scholastica? They used, you know, Scholastica, you know, the Catholic place, you know, down on where.
This was a boys' school, Scholastica was the girls' school.
Yeah. We investigated that, and it was colder than hell. In the building, it was probably 50 degrees, and so we got in this. It was pitch dark, couldn't see nothing. I had one guy with me, and we're sitting there. And I said, something's happening. So I got my camera and I took a picture. And this is the first picture. Up in the top right corner, you can see a little bit of dark spot coming into it. I'll pass them around. And then I took the second picture. And this is what came out. And then I took the third picture. And this is what came out. And it went from 50 degrees in there down to 22. Yeah. And I don't know what the hell it was because I never saw it because it was so dark in there. I feel it. I knew something was happening. But that was at St. Scholastica down there. Yeah.
And I think, Sean, you've investigated with us down there before too, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Well, I mean, but you've been with Tom before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because when we came here initially for Mayhem 11, our first one, and when we in the beginning, there was some crazy stuff that happened here that doesn't happen anymore, and it's due to you guys cleansing the building and taking care of the, getting rid of the bad spirits with intent, keeping the good spirits so that they could stay here and be comfortable, but you've kind of gotten rid of bad stuff. And
I think the guy's still in the basement.
we can confirm that. Yeah. Yeah.
I think the other ones were, well, and then my paranormal team, we did one here. And I had rules with my team and I always told them, if you feel something coming onto you, you somehow get to me, okay? Well, when we did it, it was Jeremy's mother. The guy I did the exorcism on.
The guy was almost as big as me.
Yeah, it was his mom. And they just seemed to attract her. I mean, I was constant, her name was Sam. Everybody called her Sam. And I spent more time in her mobile home than I did at my home. She had them, it was constant. She'd bring them in from everywhere. And so all of a sudden I hear him going, Tom, Tom, Tom. And I said, front door, get to the door, get to the door. So she comes to the door and I'm going, oh crap. So I see this on her and I'm doing all my stuff, you know, name, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, all this. That's it, you know, you're gonna, so then I said, oh, and you're Baptist, right? And she goes, yeah. And I said, well, hopefully, because I'm going to squirt holy water, hopefully you're not going to burst into flames. Started spraying her with holy water and all that. And I got in the front and then I was like, I just had my hand up and I exit. And then all of a sudden I saw this white light shoot right out of her side. As soon as I saw the light, I saw her grab her side. She felt it come out. And I was right here in the Abbey. Yep, right here in the Abbey. And then that nasty guy downstairs, I don't know what the hell his problem is.
You got a cool picture of something on the 3rd floor too.
Yeah, this is an Abbey. Up on the 3rd floor.
He looks like a bishop with that little bun on top
Yeah,
of his
see the
head.
little hat?
His
That's
head
an
cap.
Yeah, he kept going into the closet, kind of like Dennis's finally come out. And then he would come back out. Cause I see him. He'd go, no, he's in the closet. And there he is. He's coming out. He's going back in. And I said, no, he's back in the closet. He just kept staying there. So they were going down to another room. And so I just stayed outside. And I said, I know he's going to come back out. And I'm going to nail his ass. And he came back out and I got him with the flare. So that's, you know.
Yeah. Who else? I think.
Yeah, somebody else.
Yeah. Sir X has got a little one.
Yes, you have
We're not going to talk about it.
Oh, and I got to tell y'all this story. We did an investigation. I don't know, how many of y'all are from around here?
Well,
Kind of.
yeah.
Okay, the Alibi Bar in Florence, do you remember that being there?
I've heard of it, but.
Yeah, it was a badass bar.
Yeah, it's an old
I mean,
biker bar, right?
There was people getting thrown out the front window, through the windows, through the doors. The cops, they would come down, and until they had backup, because there's not very many cops in Florence, they would park across the street and they would watch it. And all people just flying out the doors. They said it would be a bloodbath. So I knew the lady who had bought the place and it was completely emptied. So she got me a key. So my team went in there. And so we got in there and I was all ready for this. And I said, what better, George Thorogood, his music, that song, I Drink Alone, I call it I Drinks Alone. I'm going, man, I'm going to play that song. That's going to get this place rocking. So we get down there, I got my cassette player in there. Well, hell, I left the cassette sitting at the dining room table at the house. So I said, oh, crap, I'm going to run home real quick. I'll be right back, And so Tanya, this is when cell phones first came out. Tanya goes, oh, I can get music on my phone, I think. And I said, what? I didn't know anything about this kind of crap, right? So she goes, yeah, I can. Look, here, we can do this. We can do this. So we had all this stuff set up on this table. And we told them, I'm explaining all this stuff to the spirits. They're like toys. You can play with these. You can make this light up. You can do this. You can do that. You can do this. So the time and I said, all right, let's get some music going here. So I asked the question. I said, what do y'all want to hear? And through the box, it comes out White Rabbit. Well, White Rabbit was a song from the 60s. That's an airplane. So she's scrolling down the thing. Well, there's all these other redos. And so she's ripping them off. And I said, it's just an airplane. Just an airplane. And then all of a sudden through the box, it goes, just an airplane. It's okay. So we started playing. Oh my God. The place just, it just woke the place. It was unbelievable. So then we went outside. We had to take a break. You know how it gets sometimes heavy? It was like, what the hell's going on here? So we're outside and we're taking a break, and we saw a Florence cop car come by. I looked at everybody and I said, oh, there's going to be a big U-turn because nobody's supposed to be in this building, you know. And all of a sudden, here's the big U-turn. And he comes back and he pulls up, and there's two of them in the car. He gets out and he says, what's going on here? So we explained to him, and he said, oh, cool. So he goes, yeah, I have a lot of memories of this place. He says, you think we can go in? I said, oh, yeah, sure, all this, you know. So he gets to the door, I let him go in, and he just stands there and he looks. And we had the monitors and all this stuff on this little desk. So I said, there's a monitor, you can watch what's going on, you know. So he walks in real cautious, and then the other guy follows him. They're like all freaked out. So then everything started, because then I started talking. I said, guess what? The cops are here. Real loud. Well, all of a sudden the place just goes berserk, and all the things are going off. Everything's beeping and lighting up. And I'll never forget the cop standing. He reaches for his gun. And I just stood there and I thought, hey, you're doing no good, dude. You know? So then the next thing you know, they called the sheriff's department. They called the state police. And next thing you know, every time we turn around, somebody was knocking at the front door, and it was a cop trying to get in. So then we started joking. It was getting really late. It was like 1:30 in the morning, right? So I was standing there and I said, oh crap. I said, donut delivery. That's what. And I said, donut delivery. As soon as I did, you know, over that box thing, it goes, oh boy, donuts. And so the state cops, they came in there, they had a blast. They had a blast. We went down into the basement, and they started chasing the state cops. They started jumping on them. And they were freaking out. They were reaching for their guns. It was, and then we got all these EVPs. One of them come through, and it said, toys sing. And that was because the music was coming through her phone. And they called it a toy. So toys sang. And then every time Tanya would be going to do something, her phone would just turn off and turn on. They found her phone. And they would turn it off and they would turn it on. They would turn it off and they would. But it was the coolest. And, you know, and I was at that point where, you know, where you get tired of investigations because it's the same old thing. Well, this one woke me up. I mean, it did. I mean, I got home and it was like, oh my God. I mean, these people just went ape. You know, they were just, and they were friendly. Oh, this is a good story. Remember I told you about Sam? Okay, she calls me, I go down there, and I'm looking, and I always look down the little hall. You know how mobile homes have that little hallway, right? And I'm looking down there, and we got a peeper coming around the door frame. And I said, that's her, because she brought a girl home with her. So we go back there, and I got the K2, and I got the recorder, and so I started asking all these questions. Well, I tell people I used to be young and dumb, now I'm old and stupid. So we're in there, and I keep playing back my recorder, and I'd be asking her questions. I said, where did you come from? So I play it back, the alibi. And I asked her, why did you leave the alibi? Why are you here? And then it comes back. I got 66. And I'm going, and I looked over to Sam. I go, what the hell is 66? Well, 66 is when you get barred from the bar. That's, yeah, because I remember because I got barred from a bunch of them in Houston. And then as soon as she said that, I said, oh yeah, I was 66 many times. So I'm like, so you got kicked out as a spirit. You must be a real badass. And it was the drugs. And I guess she was in the meth. That's how she died. She had overdosed. And I guess she was a real turd on the other side. And they literally booted her out of the alibi. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, you got all these spirits and they're going, no, you're no good here. And you're gone. So how weird is that? Yeah, how weird is that?
So does anybody here have questions? Anybody's in our streams? Go ahead and type your questions. You can ask questions too. And see if Tom has answers.
You were talking a little bit about your childhood and just having to kind of hide it from people laughing at you.
Oh,
Can you just speak a little bit to, family and friends that you might have lost, or thinking that you're nuts, or probably your wife wasn't exactly on board at first, or maybe she was.
no, she wasn't. And this is what's interesting. Because this is my third marriage, third time's a charm, because we just celebrated our 40th in December. So she kind of was this way and that way about all this. I lost my dad and my brother in 1980. They were both electrocuted. Accidental electrocution. My dad went up to caulk on the townhome, and it was basically it was a 2-story, but it was a third story is how high he was. He had to borrow the ladder from the townhome association. So he was up there caulking, I was working, and my brother was down below. It was on a Saturday, and he was holding the ladder. Well, it all turned out, it was when I was with the fire department. The electricity arced over to my dad and then went down the ladder. My brother's the one who really got nailed. So I knew a lot of people being with the fire department, and they came up and turned out the pole was not grounded, is how all of this came down. So after the death, my dad basically ran my mother out of the townhome. She was living with my grandmother in Grapevine, Texas. So I said, and I quit the fire department and moved up here because my mom was and all that. So I had a dog, and so I was staying in the townhome. And it was the bedroom I was sleeping in, it was 2 stories and had an outside brick wall, right? So I'm laying there sleeping, and here's what I hear. And I'm looking at the wall because the wall's 3 feet from me, and I'm going, oh, that's coming from the inside. It was my dad. That's how he always got in contact with me, was 3 knocks. So then one night, all hell broke loose. I had the dog sleeping on the bed. It was like 3 in the morning, and the dog gets up and just going, hey, crap. And I get up and I can feel it. I'm going, oh, crap. This is not good. This is not good. And so the dog shoots down, and the stairs were weird because you go out the bedroom and the stairs, there was a flight, and then there was a landing, and then there was another flight. And you could look down and see the bottom floor. So I got to the stairwell, and I was like, I ain't doing this. I just jumped. I went pitched flat on the floor, and I got to the front door. I got the dog out, got the dog in my damn truck, and we burned out of there. I was like, what the hell just happened here? And that was my dad. He was telling me to get the hell out of that damn house. So I never went back. And then we moved up to Conifer. And my mom was still living in Grapevine. So one night, my wife would always read. And I'm one of these guys, when you go to bed and you just lay your head down, that's me. All right. And I say, good night. I'm gone. I'm gone. So I'm sound asleep. And then all of a sudden, I have my wife. She's going, Tom, Tom, Tom. And I'm like, what? And they, listen. And I said, all right, I'm listening. And I hear 3 knocks. And we had a sliding door going out of our bedroom. We had a full deck. We lived in the mountains. And it was coming from the damn sliding door. And it was snowing like hell out. We already had 2 feet of snow. So I get up and I'm looking out there, and there's no footprints in the snow, nothing, and the wife's like, what the hell is that? I said, I don't know. So I get back in bed, and I told her it's the pump, because we were on a well, and the pump was right below us in the crawl space, down there. And she was like, bullshit, I said, no, it's just the well pump. So I'm laying there going, oh, this is bad. What the hell's going on now, So finally I got up and I went in the kitchen. I made a pot of coffee. And I'm sitting at this kitchen table and I'm going, come on, Dad, you got to come through. You got to come through. You got to come through. And then all of a sudden he finally come through. And it was like, you got to get to Mom. You got to get to Mom. You got to get to Mom. And I'm going, hell, I'm how many miles away from Mom? He's in Texas. I'm in Colorado. So it's called my uncle. That's her brother. So I called her brother and I told him, I said, you need to get over to the house. He's not answering the phone, anything. Well, it turned out she had a major heart problem. And it turned out the medicine she was on which I knew about because I was with the fire department. I was an EMT, almost a paramedic when everything hit me. And so I told my uncle, I said, and that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to get upstairs to get another pill. If she had taken the other pill, it would have killed her, is what it came down to. They took her to the emergency room, and that's what they said. You've taken the other, because that pill would reverse on you. It would do exactly opposite of what it was supposed to do. That's when my wife became a believer. Because there was no footprints in the snow. There was nothing. It was my dad still being with me. But here's the other weird thing. I can't contact family members. I cannot, because I hear voices from other people. I don't get anything from my brother, my dad, now my mom's passed. I don't get anything. I've heard that from other psychotic mediums.
What do you think that is?
I don't know. I've never been, and I asked them, and that's what they said. They can't connect with her. And I guess, the Long Island medium lady, yeah, she said the same thing on her shows. She can't contact relatives. They don't, and I don't know why that would be. I
don't have a sense of around me. It's just not a strong connection with our own relatives versus going to another psychic to reach out to our own relatives. It's not, for some reason,
there's something.
It's different.
It is different.
It is definitely
very different.
If your dad knocked on the thing, would they contact you in like an emergency situation?
Yeah, that was
warning you to do something.
Yeah.
In order to save yourself.
Get out of the house. And then the second one was, you got to get them out. And that was it. But other than that, I don't hear stuff. I got the vibe of get them out. I did hear that. And that was the only thing I could hear. And I'm like, what do you mean get them out? What the hell am I supposed to do? But then Jim gets over there. She's laying on the stairs to go upstairs to get the pill because she can't even move. So, and I don't understand it. And I've had, this is interesting. And I never wanted to do this, but there's a lady that lives in Forest named Katura. I don't know if she's still alive or not, but she's a real psychotic medium. She even scares me. She got with me one night because I was investigating this house, and the daughter's mother had cancer real bad who lived in Florence. And so me and Katura was talking, and Katura said, Tom, you can do this. And I said, what? She goes, you can do this. You've been given the gift. And I said, do what? And she says, you can heal her. And I said, what? Huh? I'm not a healer. I'm not a shaman. I can't. She goes, no, you can do an out of body. I said, what? You've heard about this, right? Out of body. So, okay, I'm running out of air. Ooh, I ran out of air. Can somebody run to my Jeep?
Yes.
It's parked right out front. It's the gray, silver.
Is there a charger that we can plug you in?
No, there's a big bag on the passenger side. It's heavy. It's got extra batteries. Why did this do this?
Oh, yeah.
This is weird. Yeah, I know, but when it beeps, it should be warning me I have 18 minutes.
And it just stopped? Because I've got an extra one on the RV too.
This is weird.
I don't ever wear mine.
This is probably my dad.
Take over that.
Yeah, battery.
I guess I can. Yeah, Siemens, our other medium, went to the car. Hi guys, I'm the extra large. I'll be taking this segment of the show.
About 2.5.
Bathroom break, right? So,
But it never does.
what do you guys think? I mean, amazing guy here.
And I've had like 18 minutes.
He's like me. We've got endless stories just come on, and it's.
But it says battery.
What I think is cool is when he gets to those. Oh yeah, and I remember because I do that all the time too. And as I'm telling a story, I start remembering things that also happen that are highlights. But Tom has he's more than the stories that he's telling you here and whatnot. he's an asset to the community.
Yes.
The stuff that he's
Thank
done
you
for
so
the
much.
cemetery,
You guys,
Greenwood Cemetery, and just the historical society around here has been amazing, because his love for that cemetery and devotion to seeing the restoration of Greenwood Cemetery, aka Woodpecker Hill, is that every bit as intense as my love for the monastery here. And everybody that knows me knows that
That's the same.
that's about, that's
I
what I'm
I
here
was in
for,
Walmart one day and the
is-
same
is-
thing happened.
trying to
So
preserve
I
what I
walked all
can
the way
here
from the back of Walmart,
at the Abbey,
all the
so,
way out to my Jeep, no oxygen.
yeah.
And I said, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Yep. That's never
It
done
wasn't,
that.
So-
was it?
No. And it said battery.
With that, Sean, in hearing some of the stuff that he was sharing, do you have anything that you'd like to add, or maybe
Well,
another perspective?
Which one?
Well, let's just
Flashbacks.
being psychic overall, because,
Oh, you mean from the ending of what was discussed?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that overall, okay.
no, I meant,
No, it's true. I mean, it can be very difficult, connecting with your own relatives. I know that for a fact. What they have to do is give us particular signs. My mother comes to me and I smell, unfortunately, she smoked quite a bit, upwards of 3 to 4 packs a day. So she comes with that overwhelming smell of tobacco. My father passed in October, and I actually was in tune with him. Going, whoa, I got
yeah, I was thinking of you as soon as he was conveying his story. That was kind of hitting
I
your
was in
heart.
the middle of reading, and he came to me, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go see him. And I cut the reading short and came and found him here. Yeah, but they do. He comes with a chapstick smell.
Really?
Yeah, and then I was like, that's weird. I remember as a child, he'd always put chapstick on his kids. But then when I asked my sister, because I have 2 sisters, we all 3 went through the house and cleaned it up and did a lot of stuff. And they said they found chapsticks in every single drawer of the house. So it was really prevalent with him.
Yeah.
So they always have to give us signs. It's different for loved ones than it is for somebody that's not connected to us.
Right.
Every single time it's different. They have to kind of give us some smells. My mom kind of messes with my sister sometimes, but that's kind of fun for me. So
Kind of.
yeah. But anything else within that realm? Did you have any questions?
Anybody? Excuse me. Any questions for Tom? And then we're gonna cut you loose a little bit, and anything you want to add, Tom? That you.
I had a question about your dowsing class.
Oh, okay.
You said that you kind of learn about them through that. So I know you were talking about male and female.
Uh-huh.
But then you also sometimes see pictures or maybe sometimes about that person. Did it just like come to you?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
was it a
Thank
feeling more than anything?
My rods, okay, all the meters y'all have and all this I think I've come to the conclusion that my rods work in the same way. Okay, because when I go into a house, I have my rods with me, and if they start going ape shit, it's like a millimeter going off.
Mhm.
So I know something's fixing to happen, and it's just it just comes through the rods. It's all.
Now, if you guys want to check out his technique on dowsing, I did pop up like a little 3-minute video of Tom actually in the cemetery dowsing, and he's explaining what the rod does in particular, if it's a man, if it's a woman, where the head is pointing, how deep they are, and that's a huge.
In the passenger seat, there's a set of rods.
Oh, okay.
Can you
Sure
get
will.
those?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be great.
And can you grab me a hamburger, maybe a milkshake?
If we get a volunteer that'll lay on the floor, I can show you right here how they work. Yeah, because we have a female, and then we'll have a male lay down,
Okay.
and I'll show you exactly how they work.
About the dowsing rods, is it different for for everybody? Say if you go one way, it's mail, one way it's.
Yeah,
mail.
that's
Is
it.
Different. for
That's a good,
everybody? Which
yeah.
Direction?
Because when I used to do those tours out the cemetery, I had a box and then I had all these, they were just clothes hangers that I'd cut. And then when we got done, if anybody wanted to do dowsing, they could stay, and watch. And
In fact, you used to do, when you did the one up at Cripple Creek, you spent the whole night making dowsing rods for everybody to.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's just, but some people, they'll get over a male and their stick will do exactly opposite of what it was supposed to.
Different.
Yeah. So then I just tell them, okay, so this is a male going this way on you, and they go over another graze, and so it worked the opposite for them. And that's the thing, I would tell them, you just have to practice it. And then like when I got over the kids, when I get over an adult, all they do is they just cross, that tells me there's a body. And then I step back and then I take one rod and I go in, and then if it goes to the right, it's a male, if it goes to the left, it's a female. Now, when I got over kids, I learned the right rod when I would go in would spin. And so I kept practicing and practicing and practicing. And I'd be over a grave and I'd go, that's a 7-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 13-year-old. The age, the faster the spin. And that's how I could judge the ages. And we were out in the cemetery doing tours and stuff. Carol would be right there and she'd find a kid's grave. Okay, and then she'd go, okay, how old is this kid? And I'd go over the grave and I'd come back and I'd say 7, and she'd come back and say, thank you so much. She'd come back and say 8 or 9 or this. I'd be like 1 year or 2 years off. And then once they hit 17 or 18, they become an adult, then it just stays to the male side or the female side. But the kid, that's how it worked. That's what I did with the rods out there. It was, and then, I was out there one day working. It was a Saturday. And I don't remember what I was doing. And all of a sudden, these 2 ladies that had drove in, they drove up next to me in the car. And they said, can you help us find this plot, our family plot? We can't find it. I said, what's the name? They said, oh, yeah, just follow me. So we walked up there and we got to the plot. And it was a pretty long plot. There was probably 17 different people in there. So and they were going through and they were saying all this. And then they came back and they said, where's the kid? There was no headstone. Supposedly it was this little kid. And I said, well, let me look and see. But I said, usually in these plots, they put them in the corners. So I said, let me get my rods. So I got over this kid, right? So this is what happens when somebody dies of traumatic death. Okay, instead of just them crossing, they do this. They start going 8. I step back and I go, okay. And then I go back in, and then the kid, he sent me pictures. And it was like, but it didn't show how, but it was to the head. It was to the head. So I stepped back and I looked at the ladies and I said, wow. I said, I don't know, like, if this guy got hit by a car or a wagon, I don't know how old this goes back. And they said, why? And I said, it was instant. I mean, he was here and he was gone. I said, that's what I'm getting. And they both just started crying. And I said, what happened? They said, he fell down the basement stairs backwards, snapped his neck. And so that's what I got, was out of it. He just snapped his neck. And, but that's how I get them. And that's the other ones out there, gunshot wounds. Oh, crap. I'll be out there and all of a sudden, I did a house in Florence. Yeah. And so we're going through this house. I get up to the bedroom and stuff, and then I'm going, oh, and John was right next to me, and I said, oh, crap, this is not good. I said, somebody got nailed. And then I said, but it wasn't here. I said, it didn't happen in this room. So we get back downstairs, and the ladies were going, what'd you find up there? And I said, somebody got shot, but it wasn't here. And I said, and it was massive. I mean, and then the lady looks at me, she goes, oh my God, that was that previous owner. And y'all might remember that. Anybody from here? The guy from Florence had a dispute, and it was just, what's that little town just outside of Canyon going up, which one? No, real small, right out of Canyon, let me see, what street is that?
Out of Canyon or?
Yeah, right out of Canyon. And it's like the back way to
Like
Dawson
Lincoln Park
Ranch.
or,
Lincoln Park is down below. There's the other one up there.
Chandler? The Coaldale,
No, it's real, I mean, it's,
there's a couple of little coal mining.
yeah, but this is just,
Yeah.
I mean, this is like in Canyon, but it's just got that different name. He had a dispute with, he had a house, a rental, and he had a dispute with the guy about a fence. And the guy shot him point blank with a shotgun. And that's what I got, was the impact from that, because I knew it wasn't there. But I get that kind of stuff too. So.
Can you tell us who's gonna win the Kentucky Derby?
Probably a horse.
Probably a horse. And that's the one thing that I don't do either. I've talked to God about this. I'm not gonna use my abilities to better myself. And that's the one thing that I've never done. And people have asked me to do that stuff and I'm going, I don't even step there. I don't, oh, and that's the other thing. I do all my stuff free of charge. I never take money. I do all my cleansings. And if I have to go back 10 times, I go back 10 times. But I'll never accept money. And I tell everybody, and I said, in the work I do, there's a money back guarantee. And I always tell them that if I don't clear it the first time, I'll be back. And they go, well, you just said you don't charge. And I said, well, that's my money back guarantee, though. I'll be back. That's the one. I did accept, finally, $15. This man that lives off of Highway 9. I've been out there 3 times. That was another exorcism I did. And I went out there the 3rd time and I finally got rid of everything. And so we were sitting there, him and his ex-wife, and we're at the kitchen table there. And he gets up and he pulls his wad of bills out and puts it on the table. He goes, you're going to take this. And I said, no, Roger, I told you. He says, I know you don't charge. But he said, it's not exactly close from here to here, from where you live, because I live in Canyon and I had to go way out. It's almost to the cutoff where you go to Cripple Creek. Yeah, and then down this road. And he said, this is just for your damn gas. So he said, this isn't for your doings, this is for gas. And so I looked over to his wife and I said, I have to take this, don't I? She goes, yeah. I said, okay, I'll take the $15. But that's the one thing I never do, because that's what I told people. I was given the gift, and if I do something like that, I feel like I don't feel right doing it. That's just the way I am. So, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. And like I say, when I get done, I go, sent you another one, Jesus. I sent you another one. Sent you another one. And that's the way I see it. I don't know.
You were holding cameras.
Oh, boy.
But did you have any?
Goosebumps. I know Randy Keller. I was in the Elks Lodge with him, and I know him. As soon as this happened, I wanted to call him. And he knows that I'm a priest and all that. As a matter of fact, he had something to do with the Hope funeral, because I did a funeral and he was there. Yeah, he, tied in with that. I wanted to call him, and my spirit guide was saying, leave him alone, he's too busy. He's got a lot on his plate right now. And it kept going on, it kept going on, it kept going on. Dennis, guess what? I'm in Walmart one day, right? And who walks by? Randy. And he saw me first. And he goes, Tom. And I said, oh, Randy, crap. And he come over.
Tom's where we meet everybody.
Yeah.
Walmart.
I said, man, I've been thinking about you. I said, and this was not too long ago. This was before they demolished the building, right before it. And I said, I've been thinking about you. I said, I was going to call you, but I said, I know you're under, so much distress and this and that, and you don't need me, and we had the longest talk. And he was just so thankful, because I told him, I've been praying for you. I said, I've been trying to send you strength. So I said, I can only imagine how hard this was on him. And I said, yeah, I know about dead bodies. I mean, I've done funerals, but then I was with the fire department in Houston. And I mean, I saw dead bodies left and right. And it's like, and then for all these bodies just be melting into the ground. So we had a really great talk, and he was so thankful when he left. And I wanted so bad, I'm not ready to cry. I wanted so bad to go out there and just bless that place, but it's all fenced in and it was all, but I did. I really wanted to climb the fence and I just wanted to go over. And that's something that I've done too. Right off of First Street down here, there was a house, had some problems on the inside. And when I was in there, I kept getting called to the outside. I told them, I said, what the hell is out there? And they said, just that garage and all that. And I said, there's something out there. We're going down there.
Just
So we go
quick question,
downstairs.
Tom.
Yeah.
Was it up by the women's prison, that house on First Street?
No,
No,
no, it was, you turn north.
okay,
No, you turn south instead of.
because I got a call about that house one time. Yeah.
Yeah, so we went out there. Well, it turns out they had a little cemetery in the backyard. There was 17 people buried.
Wow.
No headstones, no nothing, but there was 17 people. So I kept going back to the house for this and for that and for this and for that. So then one day, Kai, who's the kid, he's a psychotic medium too. He's having all these problems and I've been working with him. So I went over there. It was just him because his mom and dad were at work. And so we went out back. So I took my cross, holy water, and I put a huge, right in the middle of where, because they were kind of scattered. I put a huge cross into the dirt and I did my whole thing right then and there. I mean, I did all my prayers. I did this. I sprinkled holy water everywhere. And then I left. Guess what? I haven't heard anything since I calmed those people down. And that's what I told them. I said, I can do two things. I can just leave and leave this alone, but I said, no. And I said, or I can call the cops. And I said, if I call the cops, they're gonna come out here and they're gonna dig you up and then they're gonna send you to the morgue. And I said, your bones are gonna lay in there forever, trying to identify, trying to do this and that. And I said, we don't wanna do that. We don't wanna disturb you. You're at peace now. I sent you on. So we're gonna leave it alone. We're not gonna tell anybody about this. So just live in peace and you're at peace. I have a phone call. So that's how you can handle something like that. 'Cause that would be the last thing I would want. For them to go in there and dig those bones up. What a mess. I was involved with that one time when they were moving the cemetery. And that's a creepy thing. When they're moving the cemetery, like when they're gonna put in a reservoir or something, ooh, man, trying to get every little bone. Because they were like, no, that's enough. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. You gotta I'm down there with tweezers, putting them in, and they're like, no, that's good enough. No. I can't leave anything in here. And that, yeah, I can only imagine what that would be. So, yep.
Anybody else?
Do you want to see?
Anybody in the stream got questions? No? Tom, it's always an honor and a pleasure. I'm so glad that.
I'm gonna do a little thing with the Dousing rod.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. If you're up to it, you bet.
Oh, little kids. Ooh, are you willing to lay on the floor? Huh?
We have.
We're gonna have to end the stream now.
He is Catholic, so.
If I could just get you to lay on the floor.
Ooh, good boys.
Immediately, his eyes lit up.
Okay.
Relax, I can do anything.
Yeah, you're not gonna get hurt unless I fall on you. Which that's a possibility.
Scoot that chair, or grab that into the
Okay.
table and move it back to the bed.
Yeah, that's good.
There we go.
Okay. All right, here we go. See how they crossed? That tells me there's a body. So then I'm going, okay, is this male or female? And I use my bright rod and I go in. Oh, see how it's spinning? Okay.
Ooh, we ain't quite sure about that one.
6? How old are you? 7. And I do it by the rate of spin. Okay? Pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna do you now. Can you get up so I can go over here? Thank you. What's your name?
Kylan.
Who?
Kylan.
Kylan? Okay. Kai,
You want to scoot over this way?
Yeah,
There we
Kylan.
go.
are you a little boy or a little girl? You're a little boy.
I'm just growing up
Did
here.
it say it was a girl?
It didn't say, because I was just going in to get the age. I didn't do that, so, all right, here we go. Hi, that's the name of my friend over off of First Street. Huh, interesting. Okay, see, this is kind of like doing a male.
Don't want to tell.
I'm gonna say 13. How old are you? 12. 1 year. Okay. Yeah, I can't do days and months.
No, I didn't get it.
Yeah, I know, I'm just joking. Yeah, okay.
Ooh, when it gets to my birthday, he's gonna have a problem. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, then if we just get an adult to lay down, I'll show you what happens.
I got down, I couldn't get up, so.
I got new knees now.
Got new knees, cool. Okay, there's the body. And then I go in with one rod and it goes to the left and it just stays stationary. That just tells me that's an adult. That's all I get. Now, if you died a traumatic death, you would probably be sending me stuff. But that's how it works. Yeah, and how I find them in the cemetery, because out there, you know, there's hardly any, there's places where it's just open field. Oh, the pauper section. We've got a pauper section out there that's got over 900 bodies. 900. That's where the Chinese guys buried. And they're basically buried head to toe. And I douse that whole thing. And they are like right next to each other.
You know how it looks like there's space, open space, and there's no room in that cemetery. You can't bury any more bodies without hitting it.
Except James Stewart. The one open grave.
Yeah.
Because they dug the grave for him, and then he didn't use it. He's in the road, so there was one open spot that I know of. That's what I told them. I'll take that one. Because that's why I wanted to be buried. I wanted to be buried in Gravewood, but that's what they said. You can't be buried in Gravewood because it's full. I said, well, no, there's one spot, James Stewart. One spot.
You don't know who you're talking to. I know.
But yeah, when you go through the paupers, it's like this. And when you find a grave, all right, where the earth has been disturbed, it's going to cross. Okay? And then you step in again, and then that's the body, and then you keep going, and it straightens out, and then you hit the edge of the grave, and then it crosses again. And you do that from head to toe. And you can get the length of the thing. And like I said, with the feet, I start down. Oh, can you lay down again? This will be interesting. Yes. Okay. Now, that won't interfere. Okay, everywhere I go on this, where the sticks just stay like this, don't they? Watch what happens. That's the head of the grave. That's how I figured out Elfie Packer didn't have a head, because his stick stayed the same. But that's what happened.
You know the story of Alfred Packer? Yeah. Well, Ripley's Believe It or Not actually cut off his head and took that to the Ripley's Believe It or Not museum on tour. And so his head, his body is there, but his head is gone. And Tom was able to.
And I was able to figure that out. He didn't have a head, but that's what happens on the heads. Don't ask me why. I have no idea.
Why?
Leave a message. Yeah, I found out, I mean, doing these things, it was just, as I kept doing them, and I would just keep practicing. All I kept doing. It was like, because everything was different. It was like, oh, why is this? And then I had one, I couldn't figure out what the problem with this one was. I kept going back to it and back to it. It was incest, is what this female, that's what she finally got across to me. Because the sticks were just, they weren't doing, all right, when I find somebody in turmoil, it's like this. I can't control it.
Or he's guessing my age, I don't know.
Yeah. And then finally, it turned out it was incest. And then I went down to the history center and I started getting the obituaries, and it all lined up. It was perfect. He murdered the wife, and then he murdered the daughter. And that's what had happened in that. And it's one of those, it was a big headstone, and it had the 4 names. They're all buried together, but it was the wife and the daughter that he murdered, and then there was one other one, I can't remember who it was, but that's what that finally came down to, was the incest. So yeah, they tell me a lot. It can be, do I go to the cops? No. And I did that one time. Stupid. I've done the out of bodies. There was a murder up in Denver, a little girl. Her name was Erin Thompson. I don't know if you remember this one. A little black girl. And she came to me one night. And I woke up and the wife went and got a pad and I started writing everything down and drawing everything. And so I ended up going up to Aurora. And she led me in. And I found her grave. And I called the cops. And the cops came out and told me I was freaking crazy. And this and that. And then finally they got somebody to come out, a detective, and he brought another person. And we went to the cemetery, And I would be on the backside and they'd cover it up with a coat. And they say, okay, tell me what's here. And I tell them, and then I told them, find some kids, and this and that, male, female. And they were like, well, he knows what the hell's going on here. So it was like, yeah. So then Aaron so I was going back up there the second time. So I'm playing Fleetwood Mac on the CD, right, in the car. And all of a sudden, it goes, dum, 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 dum. It just starts moving up. And it goes to that song, Rhiannon. And then the volume goes, and it was just blasting me out of the car. And it was Aaron. Yeah, every time. She would just do that. And and then she sent me all the snippets. So I had it all written down on paper, right? So then as more info came out, I don't know if you kept up with any of it, it turned out the guy confessed. He's in jail now. He's in prison. And all right, what I saw was she was drowned in the bathtub. And this was the stepmother. I saw her being drowned in the bathtub. Saw her rolled up in a carpet into a plastic bag and put in a trunk. Okay? So this is what I saw. This is all written down on my pad. So I'm showing the cops all this stuff, and they're like, man, yeah. Well, later on, turns out that's exactly what the hell happened when he confessed. They rolled her up in the carpet, they threw her in the trunk, and as they were driving to get rid of the body, they got pulled over because their left brake light was out. And he was so scared that they were going to find Aaron in the trunk, and they didn't. Yeah. Wow. But I saw the whole thing. And and why they're never going to find her bones? They burned her, they cremated her in a barbecue pit in the park. That's how they got rid of her. She was old. And when I saw her, she was supposedly 5 years old. The snippets I was getting of her was, she probably weighed 20 pounds. She was, there was nothing. They must have mistreated her so bad. So it wouldn't have took nothing to burn her up in a barbecue pit. to get rid of her. That's how they got rid of her. That's why we'll never find the bones. But it all lined up. And it was like, it's all written down. And I had a map. She drew me a map. And it was like, okay. She drew me a map of where the hell she was. And then what they did, they dug her up. That's when they burned the body. They dug her up out of that grave. Yeah.
There's a question in the chat for you about your rods. Does it also work on animals?
Yes.
Animal bodies?
Oh, yeah, people all the time, they'll go, we can't remember where we buried our dog. Can you find the dog? And I go out there and I go, okay. And then I find something else and I go, there's something else over here. Oh, yeah, that's the cat. And then.
Don't say anything about the hamster.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything about the wife.
There you go.
Don't say anything about the wife. That works pretty much on anything. And this is something interesting too. Dennis might know of this maybe. The first murder that happened here in Canyon City, remember, it wasn't even called City then.
Yeah, it was this was Fremont County.
It was just called Canyon. And it was down on Hard Scrap. I can't think of that guy's name. And it was the Espinosa brothers that killed him. They shot him in the back of the head.
Really?
Yeah. So they took the body. This is before we had a cemetery.
Yeah, yeah.
So they took the body and they buried the body. So I was trying to tune in, and it was a lady from Denver, and it was her great-great-grandfather. So she came down to meet me. So I told her, I said, I think I know where this is. I think I know right off of First Street, going up to Skyline. You walk a field. So as I got out in the field, we got out of the car, and I talked to my rods. And I just said, point me, point me, point me. And they turned. So I follow how they turned. And I just keep going. Well, sure enough, I found the bodies. These were the first 7 buried in Canyon. And they ended up moving them. There's a pub. They're out in Lakeside. They dug them up and put them out there. Yeah. But they lead me. They can lead me to whatever. It's weird the way it works.
The Espinosos are still buried. I mean, they're
up top.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're up top. Yeah. Oh, and that was another thing. When I first started, I had really long rods, and I had to cut them down because when I hit turmoil people, I get slapped. Yeah, and I learned real quick, so it's like, I got to cut these things down. I can't hit 10, 2, and it's like, okay, this is enough. Oh, and I have little mini ones. They're this long. That's it. And I use them over maps to guide me into places. And then wherever they cross, and I don't look, and then the wife marks an X. And that's how I found a lot of stuff in the mountains.
Right there, guy.
Kind of missed it, didn't
What are
you?
you doing over there? You're trying to do an impression of me?
No, the difference is he's falling and can get up.
Oh. All right, any other questions?
Thanks, Tom. I love you, brother. I love you. And by the way, Kat's got a little something, yeah,
Gas money.
little gas money there. Yeah. Thank you, brother. We love you, man, and I'm so glad you're alive.
Why do y'all do stuff like this?
Because we can.
This is ridiculous.
And you're just gonna have to deal.
Or you can buy back bags.
Or maybe future preparation age.
Preparation age.
Use it.
This is, oh,
Good.
y'all didn't need to do this. I love you, brother. Why don't y'all go out to dinner on me? Seriously, seriously, go out to dinner on me.
No, you got it.
I love
That's for
doing
you.
this.
Yeah.
Make sure you get.
Yeah.
Take your wife out to dinner.
Take my wife out to
Exactly,
dinner.
exactly. They want to get a few photographs with us.
Okay.
The man, the legend.
Go ahead to the,
I'll take picture. I'm just.
Oh, me too.
Nicole.
I'm not actually taking pictures.
Oh, don't get in front of him. I know how he is. I know how he was raised.
I think you're
Coming in.
somewhere.
There you go. Now I'm gonna get out of the picture, let you have all these ladies. Get up there.
All right, just don't send these to my wife. Don't send these to my wife.
And you go, 3, 2, 1,
Smile.
I was gonna say, over and over and over and on each side of the table.
It's like trying on a swimsuit, one is down.
You bet. You bet. Wait a minute, Tom.
Demonstration.
Oh, you been out there in the tours? What was your name again?
Cindy. Cindy of
You look,
Florida.
you look kind of familiar. Okay, yeah. Oh, I can't take that though.
You can't take this, but I can take it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll turn this one off.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go pull up the Discord. I'm gonna go kill the stream.
Okay, just a second.
Jason, go grab the chips out of our room. I have all that.
All right, smile, ladies and gents. Okay, we're gonna get a close up now.
The next generation.
There we go. Nice. The legend.
And when y'all show that to people, you can say that's my.
Oh. Is this a work t-shirt?
You're telling
I
me.
did, yeah, there's also this one that works too. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Thank you. I would have forgotten.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You don't have-
who is this person?
That was the Chinese woman that was buried in the cemetery. He's the only one. The others were all buried in the pulp. Yeah, you can kill her. Yeah. Thanks, guys. See ya. Love ya.
I was thinking, you know, that weird.
All right, guys. Took the lavalier mic off. That was Tom. That was the whole thing there for this afternoon. This evening, we're heading over to do the if you want to. I guess kill it for now, and then when he says we'll go do that, I guess we'll do that. Anyway, so there we go, guys. Like that was with Tom Monaco, as we said. Absolute legend. That was a lot of fun. So many stories, so much stuff that he's doing. So we're gonna end the stream here in just a minute. Mr. Wanty is gonna go up and shut it off. And then we'll be back later this afternoon, I guess, with some Q&A stuff with the rest of the group here, as well as getting ready for the rest of May. We're going to go and take care of that. And like I said, it's going to be a lot of fun. Mr. JK, yeah, take it out. Wearing that Mayhem shirt. Go wait a minute. Yeah, I feel that, brother. Feel that. And guys, like I said, the last Mayhem is going to see the campus and see it in its condition that it is now, because from the sounds of it, a lot of it's going to change. So, you know, just kind of taking in what history is here, what it looks like in its current condition. And, you know, from what I've kind of been hearing and seeing and stuff, that, you know, a lot of this may not be here in the very, very, very near future. So it's kind of a surreal, fun moment. It's great that we're here with a lot of friends. It's unfortunate that a lot of our friends that are on the other side of the screen from us aren't here, but know you're loved, know you're missed, and know that we're really, really keeping you guys here in spirit. So you know, we got Mobile Mayhem coming up next year. We're going to figure out something, and we'll at least at that time be able to get together. So anyway, Mr. Wani is probably going to show up the stream here soon. So on that note, I will go ahead and hang out here and head inside, and yeah, we'll see you on the flip.
So this is command. Okay, this is where all the fun magic happens, where all the cool tools, toys, everything are. I got to talk to everybody that's over here right now. So we're going to switch this back to, what is it, command center.